This is our first call for our market lambs. Market lambs, start making your way to the holding area. Our grand champion exhibitor is Callan Oldenburg with his Hampshire. Reserve goes to Callan Oldenburg with his South Down. And bronze goes to Kinsey Bell with her Dorset. In the ring right now is Class 1 of our Market Lambs Hair Sheep with McKenna Morris and Cruz Ruggs.
Good way to start our market show with two hair sheep that are competitive, and the young ladies up front is one that, for me, I think this one's square loined. I think this one's better from her hooks to her pins, and yet put them into motion. That one's certainly square in his hock, certainly one that gets out and moves more freely. That one does get a little deeper and incorrect about how that one's shoulder and blade lining, but there's just so much more in terms of mass and center body and correctness of handle and feet and legs for that one not to go ahead and win that class. The sheep here in second, I will admit, is better up front. I think that one's front 1/3 is a notch more clean. I think that one's maybe just a notch more elevated in terms of his point of his shoulder as well. When you get behind that one, though, I don't think that one has as much shape and is true muscle. And ultimately, as you watch that one go away from you, I think that one's hind legs, when it get inside of him just ever so slightly, causing some issues in terms of how his spine lies in him there. But congratulate both of them two kids.
The winner of our hair sheep goes to McKenna Morris from Crescent FFA, and reserve to Cruz Ruggs from Moho Orlando 4-H. In the ring right now is our Class 1 South Down, Adeline Stevens, Miranda Kingelman, and Kaylee Brooks. We need our Schropp exhibitors into the holding area. If you are showing a Schropp, please come to the holding area.
Interesting sheep here on the top side of this particular class, and one that handles extremely well for this particular breed. I think that one is shapely in terms of his back. He's big in his upper hip and correct about his turn to his stifle. I think that one maybe gets a little more open in our lower shoulder there, maybe not quite as smooth from our shoulder into our forerib, but that's an awfully square-backed, neat-looking one from the side. That brings lots of positives for the young lady. Relatively close decision here between 2 and 3, and the one we land on, I think, is carrying a notch more condition than the sheep there in 3. But ultimately, when you analyze that one at the ground, that one's wider at the ground in terms of his base width. That one's got more true turn to the bottom of his rib there. And ultimately, for me, I think that one's pin width is just a notch wider and more expressive than the sheep here in 3. The sheep in 3 is one that's longer sided and more extended about his body. I think this one's definitely taller at the point of his shoulder, but also when you analyze this one, I think this one gets pretty narrow as you watch him walk away from you. He's also one that's a little bit flatter about his rib, maybe not quite as much muscle and expression there as the two in front of him either, but still one that balances up and props up extremely good here. Congratulate this young lady.
The winner of our South Down goes to Adeline Stevens from Guthrie 4-H. Reserve, Miranda Kingelman from Moho Orlando. And third goes to Kaylee Brooks from Crescent 4-H. Now entering the ring is our Class 1 Shropshires with Gracie Long and Kinsey Bell.
fun class here in our lightweight Shropshire division, and we've got two sheep that are both pretty nice in their types and kinds. The one we start with is just further along in his overall condition, and yet he's further along in his muscle expression for me. And again, for one to be that stout in terms of his back shape, certainly good as far as how that one's shoulder still lies in him, and he's correct in terms of his blade length and how round he is about his rib. I guess if we could get critical of that one wants to roll out of his hip just a little bit when you get him and let him get out and move, but still one that balances up, man, awfully neat looking, and yet still handles extremely fresh. The sheep here in second is one that probably truly has more notch as far as just his shape up high. That one's muscle pattern is relatively unique for how green this one is, but with that being said, we need to balance better. We need to go ahead and be smoother about our top line. We need to be a little shot more deeper in terms of our flank. Want to drop that one in terms of our center twist there as well, but still, if you were talking about just one's true shape and dimension for one raw and skinny, the young lady has a bright future ahead with this particular sheep.
The winner of our Class 1 Shrop is Kinsey Bell from Crescent FFA and Gracie Long from Coil FFA. Now entering the ring is our Class 2, Deacon James, Mason Garrett, and Bailey Oldham.
Man, an awfully nice one to start with, and one that, guys, if you just talk about one that's built extremely well but yet has some neat parts that are hard to make, you certainly appreciate this one a great deal. I mean, that one's length of body is correct in terms of his proportions. His blade length is right, yet you handle that one. That one's got plenty of shape in terms of his rack. His loin is big, and he's correct about his hip, and yet, man, put that one into motion, and he certainly prances and moves very, very freely. A pretty nice sheep there to start this class off with. Close decision here between 2 and 3. The sheep in 2 that we landed on is not as long-necked and not as good about his shoulder as what the sheep in 3 is, but yet when you get past that from there back, that one's got some good parts. That one's shape is unique, that one's hip is big, and yet that one's stifle and muscle is correct. I think this one's more correct about our condition. I think this one's fresher in our handle, and certainly one that for me, when you get on a 3/4 view, you appreciate just how truly round-bodied that one is compared to the sheep here in 3. The sheep in 3, as I mentioned, is longer fronted, certainly more correct about our blade and more unique in terms of how our chest lies up inside that thing. But when you analyze that one from behind and on top of him, that one just runs out of gas. We want to shape that one up. We want to give that one a shot more depth of flank, give that one a shot more turn to his rib there. But that one's length of profile and correctness tightness from the side. You appreciate those things. We just need to add a few more things in there to move up any higher. Congratulate all three of those kids as they've done a good job today.
The winner of our Class 2 Schropp goes to Mason Garrett. Second, Deacon James. And third, Bailey Olden. Now entering the ring is our Class 3 Shropshires, Caden Ruggs and Kinley Ross.
Two sheep that are built pretty similar, guys, for this heavyweight Shropshire class, and I think two sheep that may be a bit further along in terms of their maturity patterns, but yet the one we start with, I think, is he carrying a little more condition that's more than ideal? I would say so, but yet analyze that one again from a profile. And right there in that position, and that one excels in terms of length of neck. His height of shoulder is more correct and ideal for me. I do wish this one was wider at the ground. Wish he was bigger in his upper pin width. But when you put him into motion, that one still stays relatively sound, still stays correct about his feet and legs compared to the sheep here in second. The sheep in second is one that certainly has more shape and dimension. That one's back is awfully big, and that one's super fresh in his handle. But for me, guys, when we move these things around, that one's way short-strided. We'd like to see that one carry more flex. We'd like to see that one have more length of stride up front in terms of how his shoulder goes down to the ground unless that thing gets out and moves. But, man, that one is shapely and fresh handling. Congratulate these two kids.
The winner of our Class 3 Schropp goes to Cade Ruggs from Mulhall Orlando FFA. Second place to Kinley Ross from Crescent FFA. Now entering the ring for our breed drive from Class 1, Kinsey Bell. From Class 2, Mason Garrett. And from Class 3, Cade Ruggs. Your breed champion, Shropshire, goes to Mason Garrett from Class 2, Guthrie FFA. Your reserve goes to Cade Ruggs, Mulhor Orlando FFA. And your third place goes to Kinsey Bell, Crescent FFA. Now entering the ring is Class 1 Dorset, Kaylee Bell, Bailey Olden, Kinsey Bell, and Cruz Ruggs.
Fun class, and we've left them as they walked in here. The one we start with, I think, man, once you get past that thing's head and whatnot, I think everything on that thing blends. I mean, that is an awfully unique one to be that powerful and shapely, but yet still that good fronted and that true, round about his rib and whatnot. And you handle that one, man. That one is shapely and certainly smooth about his top line and very good about his upper hip. Good turn to his center twist. I think that one's got some neat pieces there for the young lady. My decision here for me was between 2 and 3, and we've got two sheep that are very different in their types and kinds. The one we land on, I think, is one that is definitely better about the front of his chest. I think this one, Brisket, is more correct and ideal. This one is certainly not as shapely in terms of her back as the 1 and 3, but ultimately when you set these into motion, this one also is the widest one at the ground compared to 2 and 3. The sheep here in 3 is longer bodied, more extended about himself, and certainly bigger in his upper hip than the sheep here in 2. As I mentioned, I think this one's back shape is more correct and ideal, but yet when you get in front of this one has a little extra brisket. This one's blade length is a little bit longer, and ultimately as you watch this one go away from you, he's the narrowest of the 4 that are out here. We need to open this one up at the ground and let this one have more true base width compared to how shapely that one is up high. The sheep we round out our class is one that's just more compact and a little more stale about his appearance there, but you handle that one. Certainly one that handles with big in terms of his rack. He's big in his upper pin width. We'd like to clean this one up front. We'd like to make this one square in his upper pin width. When you get behind him, we'd like to pull him apart in his pin width as well, but still one that balances nice from the side. Congratulate these 4 kids. That's a good class of Dorsets there.
The winner of our Dorset breed is Kenzie Bell from Crescent FFA. Reserve goes to Kylie Bell, Crescent FFA. Third place, Bailey Olden, Coil FFA. And fourth place, Cruz Ruggs from Mulhall Orlando 4-H. In the ring right now is our first class of Whiteface Cross with Miranda Kingelman and Kylie Bell.
Two real good lightweight specs here in this class, and the one we start with is one that for me I think is more ready about himself today. I think that one's blade is just a notch shorter. I think that one's flank is a little bit better in terms of his underline. Is this one as shapely in terms of right there in his rack shape? Absolutely not, because the sheep in second excels in that area, and I think this one gets a little rounder about our forerib compared to the sheep in second. But when you analyze him from a 3/4 view, I think this one's definitely square in his hock. I think he's more ideal in terms of how his feet hit the ground there, and certainly one that's more correct in about our turn to our outer stifle from a 3/4 dimension. The sheep here in second, as we mentioned, is one that's definitely pulled apart more in his rack shape. I appreciate that. You love when you handle that one. There's true shape and dimension there. His loin is extremely square on the edges, but for me, I think this one gets a little plainer about himself up front, maybe not quite as unique there. Then as you look at him in terms of his feet and legs, his hind legs want to get a little sickled, and his front feet want to splay out just a little bit. Congratulations to these two kids, though.
The winner of our Class 1 Whiteface Cross is Kylie Bell. Second place, Miranda Kingelman. In the ring right now is Class 2, Kylie Bell, Paxton James, Anna Stevens, Avery Foshi, and Colton Stevens.
two nice sheep here on the top side, and the young man's that we start with is one that, man, that is an absolute massive thing. That is one that is ginormous about his shape and super big in his upper hip. And when you get on top of that one, he certainly doesn't disappoint in terms of he handles correctly. He's one that is pushing the limits, as is the ideal, or just a little bit further done in terms of his condition. But I think that one from the side, he still balances up correctly. He's still good about himself in terms of his athletic ability, certainly fresh in his handle. I will say about this sheep and the sheep in two, I do think this one's maybe just a little more open in our lower shoulder, maybe not quite as unique in our chest as what our sheep in two is. The sheep in two in the front 1/3 of that one's body certainly drives more uphill, certainly is better about the base of our chest and how he lies in there. But guys, there's just simply not enough sheep in this one to rival our class winner. I don't know if there's as much true turn to our muscle as far as our stifle. I don't know if there's as much expression in terms of our rack. But man, you analyze it from the side, I do admit, I think this one from a profiling standpoint certainly has some unique pieces that you like an awful lot there. Congratulations to you. The sheep here in three is one that, for me, this is the tallest at the point of his shoulder. He's the best in terms of his underline. We just want to power that one up. We want to make that one a shot better in his rack shape, make that one a shot more round about our forerib, shot more round about our rib, actual rib there as well, then get behind that one. Let's power that one up in terms of our stifle and twist there. The sheep in four is one for me that just balances up extremely well, has lots of good pieces for the young man there. But if we get critical of that one gets a little straighter at times in our rear legs, maybe not quite as flexible as the three in front of him. We round out the class with one that, man, an extremely long-sided one that's got some muscle and width about it. We just want to make that one smoother. That one gets a little coarser on our shoulder, maybe not quite as good in our top line there as the four in front, but still a nice sheep here. Congratulate all 5 of those kids.
The winner of our Class 2 White-Face Cross is Colton Stevens from Guthrie FFA. Second place goes to Annalyn Stevens, Guthrie 4-H. Third place, Kylie Bell, Crescent FFA. And fourth to Paxton James, Moho Orlando 4-H. 5 goes to Avery Foshi, Guthrie 4-H. And entering the ring now is our breed drive for the White-Face Cross from Class 1, Kylie Bell, and from Class 2, Colton Stevens. Wait. Our breed champion Whiteface goes to Colton Stevens, Guthrie FFA. Reserve goes to Anna Stevens, Guthrie 4-H. And third goes to Kylie Bell, Crescent FFA. In the ring right now is our natural class with Kiana Rosa and Aiden Foshi.
Two blue sheep here in our blues drive. That certainly brings some positives. And the one we start with, I think this one's just cleaner about his condition and his overall appearance there. I think this one's more correct as far as how his shoulder lies in him. I think he's bigger in terms of how his center twist lies in him there as well. He could be just a shot deeper in his flank. He could be a shot better in terms of how his roundness about his full rib. But a nice sheep there for the young man. The sheep that comes in second is certainly rounder about his full rib, but another one that we could just give a shot more depth of flank to. And as we mentioned, I wish this one's probably center twist was just a notch deeper. Wish this one's probably just a little bit shorter in our blade. Certainly stouter in our foot size. But man, that one's certainly shapely up high, square about his edges. Good looking for the young lady. Congratulate both of these kids.
Our champion natural goes to Aiden Foshi of Guthrie 4-H. And our reserve goes to Kiana Rosa from Coyle FFA. Entering the ring now is our Class 1 Hampshire, Kiana Ross, Callan Oldenburg, and Adeline Stevens.
We got a class here of sheep that are all three, or these top two are very moderate guys. They're ones that they're not my kind as far as how they're put together, but yet that's what we're here, and we've got some sheep that have some big muscle. The sheep up front, I think, still stays relatively sound about himself. He's really good as far as how shallow made and his underline he is. I think that one's upper hip excels in terms of squareness and as far as the muscle goes. When we get this one out on the move, though, guys, this one gets a little more piecey in his top line. Let's get a little more straight about himself, but still one that gathers up really nice for the young man. The sheep here in second is another one that resembles that. This one is stout. This one's big backed, certainly has big muscle. For me, though, I think this one's next, a little further forward. Maybe not quite as refined about his shoulder as what our class winner is there. And ultimately, when you do watch these ones go, I think this one's more restricted about how flexible he is at the ground. The sheep here in 3 is one that, again, that one now is tall at the point of his shoulder. That's really good in terms of foot size and bone work there. Though if we could, man, we want to give that one just a shot more maturity. Let that one go ahead and round out in his rib. Let his flank drop just a little bit. But that one has some parts that we like. We just want to see that one further on down the road.
The winner of our Class 1 is Callan Oldenburg from Mulhall, Orlando, FFA. Second place, Adeline Stevens, Guthrie 4-H. And third place, Kiana Rosa from Coyle FFA. Now entering the ring is our Class 2 Hampshire. Case Myers, Clancy Broom, Kylie Bell, Annalyn Stevens, and Callan Oldenburg.
Guys, we took a little more time on these two up top, and they're very different as far as their profiling, appearance, and what they look like in this regard compared to how they look like on the motion. I'll admit I like parts of both of them when we get them into motion. The young man's up front. What I do appreciate most is when you walk this one out, this one's shoulder stays correct in him, his chest stays where it needs to be, and yet he's more athletic out of his front end. Is this one a little outside of himself in his hocks? Absolutely. But guys, for how shapely that one is up high, I think some of that is going to happen down low. For me, I think if we could freshen this one up in his loin, I think this one blows away with the class as far as just how he's put together. He's so much more correct about his blade length. He's longer about his neck length there as well. When you talk two sheep that have plenty of muscle and handle the same, you just look for little parts, and I think this one excels in his front 1/3 there compared to the sheep in second. The sheep in second, as we mentioned, I think this one is more square at the ground when you watch him walk away from you. I think he's certainly wider in terms of his base width than that of our class winner, but yet, guys, when you look at him up front, he gets out and moves. This one becomes lower shouldered. This one comes a little straighter from his shoulder down to the ground up front there, and ultimately, with that being said, this one's neck's not quite as extended. This one's neck's quite not as long there as our class winner, but again, guys, one that's shapely, certainly good in his appearance. Just a nice sheep there to fall in two. The sheep here in three is another one for me. I think just in terms of roundness of body, correctness as far as condition goes, and good in our muscle, just logically fits here. I wish this one was probably just a notch longer in his overall body length. Wish this one was probably just a notch more shallow in terms of our chest, but man, that one's still round. That one's fresh handling and got plenty of muscle for how that one's put together. The sheep here in four is one that has that extra added length and dimension as far as body length there. Love this one's profile. I think this one's short-bladed, deep in his flank. We just want to stouten this one up front to rear, make this one bigger in our upper pin width, let that one be a bit rounder about our rib cage there, but still a nice sheep there for that young lady. Then we round out our class with one that to me gets a little plainer up front, man, and we just want to make this one a little more unique, a little more athletic in that regard, and ultimately when you handle that one, let's pull that one apart. Let's bust him open in his center rib. Let's pull him apart at the ground as well, but a nice sheep there, guys. 4 or 5 nice sheep. Congratulate all of them.
The winner of our Class 2 is Callan Oldenburg from Mulhall Orlando FFA. Second place goes to Clancy Broom from Crescent FFA. Third place, Anna Stevens, Guthrie 4-H. Fourth place, Kylie Bell from Crescent FFA. And fifth, Case Myers from Crescent 4-H. In the ring currently is our Class 3 Hampshires, Deacon James, Madison Frost, and Colton Stevens.
Logical place here to start in this particular drive of Hampshires, and another one that, guys, is put together extremely well, and one you appreciate lots of things about. I think if we could get critical, let's shape him up just a little bit more. You know, he's sitting there maybe not quite as creased as some of the ones we've seen today, but man, you analyze that one from muscle and standpoint point, it just balances correctly. Certainly like that one a great deal there for the young man. The sheep here in second is one for me that, is probably sheared just a notch closer than our class winner. With that being said, though, I think that allows this one to handle just a bit fresher. I think this one's still truly round about his body and correct about how his shoulder lies in him, and that's where he excels, the sheep in three. Sheep in three is one that gets a little coarse, maybe a little more open in his shoulder, maybe not quite as refined in our front 1/3 as the two in front of him, but still a good, powerful sheep there for sitting 3.
The winner of Class 3 is Colton Stevens. Second place, Deacon James. And third place, Madison Frost. Now entering the ring is our Class 4 Hampshires, Sophia Spurlock, Emery Brooks, and Keely Brooks. I need the class winners of the Hampshire breed up to the holding area. If you won your class or got second, come to the holding area. Just kidding. All Hampshires come to the holding area.
So we round out our heavyweight Hampshire show here, and we get to this particular class, and 3 sheep that are further along in terms of their condition, but we found one that's still plenty youthful in his front 1/3 and correct about how he's put together up front there, and yet when you handle that one, I think that one's still the widest one in terms of his base width, the biggest in terms of his rack shape, and still balances upright for the young lady. The sheep here in second is just a notch longer in terms of his profile stance, but for me, I think what excels in terms of the 1 and 3, this one's better in his front 1/3. This one stays youthful. This one's underlined still correct. We could change that one from his hooks to his pins or his depth of his twist, but yet one that's super fresh in her handle and balances up extremely well. And then we get here to the sheep in 3. When you look at this one at the ground, I think that one gets a little narrower. That one wants to hawk in just ever so slightly. This one has the depth, the twist that we're looking for, but still one we want to fix is from a structurally standpoint. Congratulate all 3 of those kids.
The winner of our Class 4 Hamps is Sophia Spurlock. Second is Keely Brooks. And third, Emery Brooks. In the ring now is our Hampshire breed drive from Class 1, Callan Oldenburg. From Class 2, Callan Oldenburg. From Class 3, Colton Stevens. And from Class 4, Sophia Spurlock.
So we get our class winners back out here. I certainly like these four sheep, and you know they've all got things that we can change about them, but yet I think they're still the pair we're going to land on today is some they're very similar in their build, and what does it for me I think is just in terms of true shape and dimension. I don't know if the one we land on is my kind. I think I wish they were longer fronted and certainly better about their front 1/3 and their length of neck. But man, you get past that point, I think we've still got a pretty good sheep here in our champion hamp. Young man out of Class 2 will win. That pair of sheep there in that particular class certainly gave me the hardest challenge we've seen today, and we get that second place back out here, and I still think that's the next best one. We're going to keep that pair together. Your second place in Class 2 is reserved.
I'm going to take a couple of seconds and introduce our judge to everybody. Mr. Dakota Quickle is our judge today from Chattanooga, Oklahoma. He is an owner and operator of Triple D Genetics, former ag teacher of 7 years, and he graduated from Oklahoma State with a degree in animal science. Mr. Quickle loves good livestock and enjoys the challenge. Thank you, Mr. Quickle, for being our judge today. Our Hampshire breed champion from Class 2 is Callan Oldenburg from Mulhall, Orlando FFA. Our reserve champion is from Class 2, Clancy Broom from Crescent FFA. And our third place bronze is from Class 3, Colton Stevens. In the ring now is our Suffolk's Class 1, Cade Ruggs, Eli Poplin, and Bailey Oldham.
Got a good class here of Suffolks, and yet the one we start with is the most correct as far as how that one's put together from the side, and I certainly appreciate that one from the profiling standpoint, but yet still handle that one plenty shapely, big in his upper hip, and correct about her muscle, and I think where that one excels, that one's just so fresh in his handle and good up high, but yet you look at that one at the ground, I think that one's still another one that is able to move correctly about the show ring. The sheep here in 2 is, for me, a little more compact, and yet, yes, when you look at that, I think this one still stays plenty athletic in his build, but for me, compared to our class winner, maybe not quite as round in her forerib, maybe not quite as big as far as her upper hip goes there as well, but man, that is a stout one that's got big forearm, big muscles, and handles extremely good. The sheep here in 3, man, this is the biggest muscled sheep in the class, and yet when you look at this one from a profile, I think this one gets a little shorter from up front angles. I think this one gets a little shorter about his hip as well. Then we set him into motion. Wish that one just had a little more length to his stride and was more flexible about how his hock gets out and moves there for that young man, but still a nice sheep from a muscle standpoint.
Our Suffolk breed champ goes to Bailey Old from Coyle FFA. Second place goes to Eli Poplin from Guthrie FFA. And third to Cade Ruggs, Mulhall, Orlando FFA. Now entering the ring is our Blackface Cross, Class 1, Kinsey Bell, Beckett Witts, and Paxton James. Attention in the barns. Attention in the barns. Our goat show starts at 3 o'clock. Our goat show starts at 3 o'clock. And if you have people wanting to watch the show online, go to toplivestock.com. Toplivestock.com if you're trying to watch the show online.
fun class here in our Class 1 of crossbreds, and these top two sheep are pretty good, guys. I like the one we start with in terms of his muscle just being a little more crisp and being a little bit bigger in his upper hip compared to the sheep there in 2. I think this one may be a little longer bladed than what the sheep in 2 is there, but yet this one still balances up extremely well. That one's big in terms of his shape up high, and like I mentioned, I think that one just excels the class in terms of pin width and overall dimension there in that regard. The sheep here in second, man, from the profile, this is my kind. I mean, that one is tall-shouldered and good-looking. We just want to bust that one apart. Give that one a shot more rib, pull him apart in his upper pin width, and ultimately, guys, when you look at that one, let's pull that one apart at the ground as well. The sheep here in 3 is one that has tons of muscle and expression. I think this one gets a little straighter up front, maybe not quite as long in his front 1/3 there, and ultimately, when you look at him from a top side, that one gets a little more piecey. We want to smooth him up in his top line, maybe drop him a little more in his flank, but still, that's a powerful sheep there that just happens to land in 3. Guys, congratulate all 3 of these kids.
The winner of our Class 1 Blackface Cross goes to Kenzie Bell from Crescent FFA. Second place, Beckett Wiss from Mulhall Orlando 4-H. And third place, Paxton James from Mulhall Orlando 4-H. Entering the ring is our Class 2, Anna Stevens, Callan Oldenburg, and Keely Brooks.
Good class here of crossbreds, and the one that we start with is one that, that one's got the most grow in him and yet still the most productive about his kind and his profiling look. I appreciate the balance that this one provides and yet has plenty of shape up high. Guys, where he excels is his length of neck, and yet it sits on top of his shoulder correctly. How that one blends so smoothly back. Is this one a little deeper in terms of his chest? Maybe so. Is he a little more post-legged out of his hind leg? Maybe so as well. But yet, guys, he's still able to flex. He's still able to move correctly, still able to get out and move freely enough, and that still lands in the top spot there. The sheep here in second, man, if we could make this one's neck, just rise it up on top of his shoulder and let that one's front 1/3 just be a notch more extended, I think he rivals our class winner. I think this one has just a notch more shape in terms of his rack. I think this one's loin's maybe just a bit smoother in his hip-loin transition there, and ultimately, when you look at him from this view, man, you love the turn to his rib. I just wish this one was just a notch more athletic about our front end there to move up any higher. The sheep here in 3, for me, runs into 2 powerfully made sheep, 2 sheep that are further along in their condition, but yet, guys, this one still balances extremely well. Has some pieces for the young lady. We just want to see that one maybe more mature to move up any higher.
The winner of our Class 2 goes to Callan Oldenburg, MOFFA. Second place, Annalyn Stevens, Guthrie 4-H. And third place, Keely Brooks, Crescent 4-H. Now entering the ring is our Class 3, Cruz Ruggs, Colton Stevens, Clancy Broom, Kinley Ross, and Rebecca Spurlock.
Guys, we get here to our crossbred class, and the sheep we start with from the profile is the absolute best one in terms of this class here. I love how short this one's blade is and how correct he is about his rib there. We could shape this one up high. I think we can make this one notch better in terms of his pin width there as well. But, man, I like that one's build and balance in this particular drive. The sheep here in second, I think, is more of a safer bet as far as just true muscle. I think this one has the shape and dimension that you appreciate. Is this one a little longer about his blade and maybe a little more extra brisket there? Absolutely. But, man, that one is so smooth in his transitions and so sound and athletic in his build. Certainly appreciate that about him. The sheep in three is one for me. I think this one is a little flat. I don't know if this one's quite as true in terms of his muscle. I don't know if this one's quite as true in terms of his shape up high as the sheep in two in front of him are. But one that balances up pretty well, one that has a nice silhouette, certainly big fuzzy legs, but I think if we could change that one, let's give that one a shot more true width and true muscle to him. The sheep here in four is another one that has that extra added dimension. For me, I think that one's rack shape is large and that one's butt is extremely deep in his twist. But guys, we set this one into motion. Man, we sure wish he was more athletic and had more length of stride to him to move up any higher. And then we get here to our sheep in five that, man, this one looks nice as far as from a profiling standpoint. Super shallow, super good in his underline. Let's shape that one up. Let's give that one a shot more muscle so we can move up any higher. Congratulate those kids if you would.
The winner of our Class 3 goes to Kinley Ross from Crescent FFA. Second place, Cruz Ruggs from Mulhall Orlando 4-H. Third place, Clancy Broom from Crescent FFA. Fourth place, Colton Stevens, Guthrie FFA. And fifth place, Rebecca Spurlock, Crescent 4-H. Now in the ring is our Blackface Cross Breed Drive. From your Class 1, we have Bailey Olden. I'm sorry, Class 1, Kinsey Bell. Class 2, Callan Oldenburg. And Class 3, Kinley Ross.
Real good class and division here of crossbreds, and we'll get through these things here pretty quickly. But guys, certainly like the lineup we've got out here. 3 sheep that are built right, 3 sheep that are good in their muscle and correct in their condition. Guys, we'll go out and we'll select your top 2 in this deal, get your cell lineup, and get your Supreme Reserve. Congratulate all these kids that are out here if you would.
We need all market lambs to the holding ring. All market lambs to the holding ring. Our Blackface Cross Breed Drive champion goes to Callan Oldenburg from Class 2. Reserve goes to Annalyn Stevens from Class 2. And our bronze goes to Kinley Ross from Class 3. Now entering the ring is our champion drive. Our hair sheep is McKenna Morris. Our South Down is Adeline Stevens. Our Shropshire is Mason Garrett. Dorset, Kenzie Bell. Whiteface Cross, Colton Stevens. Natural, Aiden Foshi. Hampshire, Callan Oldenburg. Suffolk, Bailey Olden. Blackface Cross, Callan Oldenburg.
Guys, we get our lineup back out here, and it's been a good time here to sort the sheep show at Logan County. I know we've got showmanships and everything else to line up, so we're not going to take a long time here. But you kiddos in the back that aren't out here right now, man, be proud of yourself. It's a challenge to, feed sheep all year long and to make it to this point. As a guy that raises show lambs back at home, we deal with all kinds of stuff in these animals, and to get them to this point into a show ring, hats off to you, because it's extremely hard to do, and to not only do that, to make them look this good top to bottom, it's been a joy. And thank you guys for letting me come out and work with these kids. I like the lineup we got out here. It's been certainly a good thing that we get these sheep back out here. We moved those 4 about, and I think those 4 are very good for their own respected breeds and how they're put together. I wish a few of them could maybe move just a little bit better, but yet when you analyze them at all of their aspects, man, they're awfully good. So guys, congratulate these kids. We'll get you a top 2 and then finish up your sell order. It's been certainly a fun time here.
Just a reminder for all of our goat showmen out there, the goat show starts at 3 o'clock. The goat show starts at 3 o'clock. Your grand champion was shown by Callan Oldenburg, Mulhall Orlando FFA, and it was his black face cross. Reserve champion goes to Kenzie Bell from Crescent FFA with her Dorset, and bronze goes to Annalyn Stevens, Guthrie 4-H with her black face cross. And this is also your 5-minute warning for showmanship. If you did not turn in your card, just come with your correct class. We are starting with senior showmanship. So if you are showing senior showmanship, this is your 5-minute warning. Come to the holding area. I have been corrected. This is our 5-minute warning for our Pee-wee showmen. So if you guys have any Pee-wees that are wanting to show, they need to be in the holding area. 5-minute warning for Pee-wee. After our Pee-wee showmanship, we will go straight into seniors. So seniors, be ready. All of our Pee Wee showmanship can start entering in the ring.
Well, guys, we get here to our Pee Wee Showman, and how about this? There's 8 kids out here. Excellent job by all 8 of you kids. You can tell that you spend time at home with your brother, sister, whoever it may be, and these animals are just as much yours as they are theirs. Hats off to all of you. You're all first place winners today. Keep working. Congratulations to all of you guys.
All of our Pee Wee showmen today are earning their blue ribbon. We have Lillian Stevens, Scarlett McNair, Shiloh Wiss, Bixby, Duke Burtwell, Porter James, Daisy James, and Haley Lesher. Entering the ring is our senior showmanship, Kinley Ross, McKenna Morris, Madison Frost, Kinsey Bell, Eli Poplin, Willie Schoonover, Kiana Ross, Mason Garrett, Cade Ruggs, Callan Oldenburg, if you have people that are wanting to watch the show, go to toplivestock.com to watch the show live. That is toplivestock.com.
Guys, it's certainly a pleasure to get out here and to start back with these senior kids on the showmanship side of things. And as far as how you put them together, guys, I think there's three things that are important when you get out here for showmanship. And first and foremost, guys, you're here to show your lamb. And no matter how you do that, the object is to make that lamb look good, regardless of every time someone's looking at it or whatnot. Just make that thing look good, and you find a comfortable position and you make it work. And then once after that, as far as from my perspective, then it comes down to a personal preference as far as what I like and what I appreciate, and then finding the little things that maybe make that animal exceed that animal's expectations. And what we have is kids out here that are doing an excellent job. I pulled these three out, and I think they do that just a little bit better. I think there's one that's extremely smooth in how they work. I think there's one that maybe gets a little extra out of that particular animal, and then one that at times the animal may be out of place, but yet that kid works extremely hard to keep that one shown and presented at a high level. Guys, we'll select your top three. Congratulations to all of you kids. If you would, congratulate all of these senior individuals.
The first place winner of our senior showmanship goes to Kenzie Bell from Crescent FFA. Second place, Mason Garrett, Guthrie FFA. And third place, Callan Oldenburg, Mulhall Orlando FFA. Now entering the ring is our intermediate showman, Sophia Spurlock, Clancy Brooms, Keely Brooks, Leighton McNair, Kylie Bell, Avery Foshi, Colton Stevens, and Gracie Long.
Again, a very fun class of intermediates here, and it's cool to see this many kids come back and exhibit here in a showmanship contest. And guys, as I mentioned, you guys are working extremely hard. I'm proud of you. Tell your parents back there thank you. Guys, continue to work, and you know our end goal's there in March, and we've got roughly 30 days. A lot can happen between now and then. Keep working on your animals. Success will find you, whether you have success today or whatnot. Just continue to work hard, and you'll be there in the end. Guys, again, this is fun. It's unfortunate that we can only select 3. There's 6 or 7 kids that do an awesome job. If you would, join me in congratulating them. We'll select your top 3.
The winner of our intermediate showmanship goes to Kylie Bell from Crescent FFA. Second place, Clancy Brooms from Crescent FFA. And third place, Colton Stevens from Guthrie FFA. Entering the ring now is our junior showmanship exhibitors: Cruz Ruggs, Beckett Wiss, Deacon James, Emery Brooks, Rebecca Spurlock, Case Myers, Adeline Stevens, Anna Stevens, and Aiden Foshi.
Again, guys, I'd like to say thanks to the crew here at Logan County for first of all, hollering at me and asking to do this. I know last year's plans got canceled with the weather, and they went ahead and had me back, this second year to go ahead and get me through here, and I appreciate that. It's been fun. The quality's been tremendous in this show, and yet these kids have been excellent to work with. Thanks to my ring help, it's been fun. I mean, I know these county shows can get hectic at times, lining up cell orders and everything, but man, when you got good ring help, it certainly goes a long way. So thank you guys for that, and we'll keep it short-winded here, but again, good job to all you kids. We'll select your top 3.